Welcome inside another edition of the Neishloss podcast here, presented by Neishloss and Fleming, and of course Integrity Marketing Group, which is a company that really makes this particular podcast possible. I'm your host here, Mike Asti, and I'm going to be joined by Chris Kolowich, who is the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group, for this conversation, which again really connects to our partnership with Integrity here in the midst of AEP, a very important season, of course, in general, but so much more even this year. And to let you, the agents, know that you have much more possibilities out there that could be in your portfolio. They may already be in your portfolio, but much more in your arsenal than just some of the traditional carriers out there that you're familiar with. Integrity Marketing Group themselves has some products, has some med sups, have some products that you guys certainly can add to your portfolio and that if may already be there and certainly can be great products for you when you're talking to clients. These definitely make sense. They're going to be hitting on any quote engine you use anywhere. So again, I'm Mike Asti. He is Chris Kolowich. So Chris, first off, I appreciate you joining me. I was complimenting you before we got started on the lighting situation, and seems like you've done this before, so we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Really excited.
Absolutely. I have my Integrity Marketing Group mug here that I'm going to drink out of. I switched things around from our Neishloss brand for the Integrity Eye there for you. So as we get underway here, of course, aside from just being a great friend of Neishloss and Fleming in general, Integrity Marketing Group has an important role in Medicare Supplement products in particular. Certainly recently in the last couple of years, which is when our partnership with Integrity has really got underway. Can you really touch on that partnership and what Integrity Marketing Group has to offer in terms of med sups out there? Because, you know, we talk to agents all the time. They see these names, they see these supplement products on quote engines, they know what they're familiar with. A lot of veteran agents may see some of these names and not be familiar with them, or they may have no idea that when they see the name and they're interested in a name because where they align in rates, they may not right away before they talk to somebody like me who can let them know, or yourself, that they're actually affiliated with Integrity Marketing Group and their proprietary 2 FMOs that are with Integrity. So can you kind of touch on that relationship and what's going on with the med sups with Integrity?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really a great question. So, you know, in the last few years, we've been laser focused on Medicare supplements, and it's really been the product that our leadership team here in the Atlanta office has really molded themselves around, specifically now these Integrity exclusive med sups. And I know we'll talk specifically into which ones those are, but right now in the marketplace, there's Ascendo, CVS, Medicare Supplement. You have the Humana Achieve, CSO, Lumico, Union Security, and Manhattan Life are names that really agents, like you said, have probably seen at the top of their quote engines over the last few years. And so what we're doing here...
They should have seen them, or they're probably not looking.
Absolutely. Well, with all the tools that you guys offer agents now, I'm sure that if they're running quotes from wherever they are, whatever markets they're in, they're seeing those names, hopefully. That's where we're trying to position those. So from a competitive standpoint, we'll really talk about some of the niches I know later. But we're really just trying to focus on and develop these Medicare supplement products with carriers so that we can bring them to market and have a competitive product that agents can offer to their clients.
Just as a follow-up here, why was that important to Integrity Marketing Group? Obviously, the ever-growing platform that Integrity is. It seems like every week there's a new partnership being announced. Certainly stability is number one with Integrity Marketing Group right now in the insurance space. But why was it also important to dive in and get involved with some med supplement products? Because that was not initially the situation when Integrity Marketing Group came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, we want to just make sure that we have a full suite of products for agents to offer, from final expense to Medicare Advantage to Medicare Supplement. So you want to make sure that you have really an option in your bag, or agents have options in their bag for any scenario that they could come across, and really be able to assess the needs of clients and decide, hey, you know, I think a Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement would be best for you. So that's really where the Medicare Supplement side of things came into play, is just making sure that we had that option for them.
Okay, awesome. Chris Kolowich again, the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group here, Mike Asti, with the Neishloss podcast. And again, we partner with Integrity Marketing Group. This one heavily about integrity, but it benefits you, the agents, could certainly benefit you, the client, as well. When speaking, that you see some of these names, some have major brands associated with them, of course, with Humana Achieve that Chris mentioned, with the Aetna Sup, and that relationship now with the Ascendo and CVS, and then others, Lumico, certainly up there in terms of rates in a lot of areas, which will then segue into my next question, which really does focus in on Lumico. Maybe not the name that jumps out in terms of that branding of Medicare products that everyone's familiar with and has grown up with certain names out there that you hear. Maybe not the case for Lumico, but they certainly have footing. And when it comes to med subs, Chris, we know though the importance of premiums. And this is really where Lumico becomes a player. Just looking through the map out there, we're all looking at maps in our world today right now while we're recording this. You look at the map of Medicare, you're going to see Lumico because the premiums are good, the rates are good, they definitely come up on quote engines. So what market would you say, and it's probably hard to pick one, that Lumico is playing some of the best rates, or even a few markets if you want to throw out there, that Lumico is a major player, that if an agent is in that market and is writing plans, certainly writing SUPs, they got to have Lumico if they care about rates at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Premium competitiveness is really where it all starts. Those other factors that you mentioned do definitely come into play, but you got to make sure the rates are right. And so we want to make sure our rates are in line or better than some of the other options out there. And in Lumico now, in its third year of Medicare Supplement after it launched in July of 2018, we're still seeing those plans being competitive, like you're saying, in a number of markets, mainly with their Plan G. And just to name a few states off the top of my head, I know Alabama, Iowa, Indiana, Kansas, and Pennsylvania are all markets where Lumico's got one of the best Plan Gs in the state. And that's really just a couple of them. I know that there's a handful of Western states as well where they're competitive. So all in all, we're just really pleased to see that product still stack up extremely competitively from a pricing perspective.
Yeah, and I see it in quote engines for Georgia as well, being another state. But yeah, Pennsylvania, we're located here in Pittsburgh in western Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania, an important state overall in our world, but certainly right there when we're talking Lumico. So again, agents here in our home state, he mentioned Pennsylvania as one of those for Lumico. Again, Chris Kolowich, the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group, as we're kind of talking about what's going on with some med sup options here that are proprietary to Integrity Marketing Group that have that brand, but that Integrity is offering and that certainly makes sense in this market right now. And as we move to another one, we talked about Lumico, and Lumico is a play because of rates, really, even though there's more going on with that carrier that we certainly can touch on if you give myself a call or anyone else here a call here at Neishloss and Fleming. But Humana Achieve, they have that brand there. So you hear Humana, people are familiar with Humana. That's been around in Medicare for a long, long time. Humana Achieve, they're really taking the market by storm this year in particular, and it's been something that's kind of been building to this. There's been a tidal wave of Humana Achieve for now a year or so. They're taking the market by storm right now, levering the power of Humana's brand, of course, and the rates are still pretty solid in many cases for Humana Achieve. So what do you see Humana doing right now? What is the growth for Humana, and where do agents need to be aware that Humana is a major deal as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Going
back to the first part there, just to touch on it, brand strength it really is a component that's incredibly important. And even though these plans are standardized, we see clients choose plans solely based on these household names that they recognize. They're willing to pay a few extra bucks. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so, but to answer your question, we're really seeing a ton of growth with Humana Achieve all across the country in all markets. But I took a look before this call, actually, at last month's production, and we saw a huge lift in Indiana, in North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania again, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. So those markets really have been areas where agents have started to take hold to this Humana Achieve product and use it as their go-to option for offering med sup.
Yeah, and again, very similar to what's going on with the Ascendo and Aetna, and that brand is a big
Yep.
deal, and they're really coming in. And I've done different podcasts about that carrier as well, and what's kind of going on with not only having the Med Sup there and that Aetna subcontract and that Ascendo CVS relationship, but also the final expense component. I actually did a past show with Bob Grannon of Integrity where we really dove into that, so you certainly can find that on our website, also on our YouTube channel, across social media. Find it in the Neishloss podcast playlist there over on the YouTube channel. And while you're there, bottom of the video, click subscribe so it makes it easier for us to get content to you, and you get notifications when any of these happen as well. But also all throughout our website, again, you can talk to any of us about that product as well. But we've done myriad of shows, and that's also attached to a brand. The rates are solid. The brand certainly provides some comfortability. I think brand is a big deal, even maybe more now in this climate than ever before, Chris, just because there's so much uncertainty. People want to make sure that the company is stable, like Integrity, like Neishloss and Fleming, and when they hear certain brands, they know they're stable. Regardless of anything,
Sure.
they know those are stable. Again, Chris Kolowich here, the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group here on the Neishloss podcast. Now, CSO, Central States of Omaha, is one that this might be maybe a new pop to people's ears who are listening, because the others we mentioned, even Aetna, kind of waved itself now, as Humana Achieve has really had a tidal wave by storm this year after really popping the market a little bit last year. But CSO has now become a little bit new on the market, but certainly making its statement as well. CSO recently announced expansion into new states, so it's kind of trying to move across the map that you're talking about, with a lot of these expanding through the map. How is the CSO product right now being received in those new areas, and what plans do you see selling in terms of CSO?
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that about CSO, because CSO actually launched their initial Med Sup back when Medicare first started. So they were in the marketplace for quite some time. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, they made the decision to exit the Medicare Supplement space, but they're back in it. And so, yeah, it's a name that if folks have been in the Med Sup space for quite some time, then they may have heard CSO before. But right now we're looking at 30 states for a national footprint and 12 new states where they've just released new plans. And so in those 12 new states, though, they took a little bit of a different approach. So really what they did is it's a little different than traditional plans, or traditional thinking rather, but it really makes sense when you dive into it. And what they did was they didn't file a Plan G in those 12 states right away. And now I know Plan G is most popular, most sold plan currently, but there's a good reason that they're keeping that in their back pocket for a later date. And really that reasoning behind that was Macro 2020. And now Macro's behind us, it's come and gone, and it really kind of seems like an eternity away with everything that's gone on this year. But what CSO did and what they saw was a Plan G marketplace that they believed was underpriced and would inevitably have to take some rate increases to adjust for post-macro business, more open enrollment business, more guaranteed issue business that would eventually start coming in with these new plans or with this marketplace, how it was. So rather than introducing that Plan G that was a little bit more expensive and wouldn't get any new business, or on the other hand, introducing a Plan G that was, quite frankly, they thought underpriced and would have to take a rate increase to catch up for those claims, they decided to see what the market does, and then they'll file those Plan Gs at a later date. And so in those 12 states, they really filed a competitive Plan F. And now you're saying, well, Chris, only folks that were eligible prior to January 1, 2020 can get a Plan F. Well, that could still make sense for them, right? So if they were eligible prior to that and they can be underwritten, what it does is it creates a block of business that's mostly underwritten. And Mike, carriers love underwritten business, right? But they all want it. And so agents in these 12 new states have been selling a lot of Plan F with CSO. CSO is compensating heavily for their CSO plans with bonus programs that they have in place. And then those other 18 states that they had existing plans in, we're seeing a mix of Plan F and Plan G. So it really just depends on what market agents are in. But these 12 new states really the Plan F and even the Plan N, if it makes sense, are priced to sell. So it's all over the board, to answer your question, but Plan F has really been a good focus, and agents will see that with their bonus program.
I think when it comes to Integrity Marketing Group, when in doubt, it generally is all over the board. That is generally a good rule of thumb here. Any states that jump out of your head, though, that you think an agent might not be aware that it's in, that is a part of that expansion?
Most recently, and we keep going back to it, is Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Pennsylvania and Ohio both just recently released with CSO. I know because of the pandemic, we had some state filings that took a little bit longer than we wanted to or initially believed. And so those were two states that dragged along a little bit longer than we anticipated. But those are brand new. Those are some of those states that have a really competitive Plan F in.
Yeah, they're there now, so that's the most important thing. Chris Kolowich, again, the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group here. Mike Asti on the Neishloss podcast as we're going through what's going on with Integrity and the med sups they're offering, and they are plentiful. And also, to be fair to everyone, you mentioned the CSO bonuses. There's bonuses across the board with a lot of these carriers that we're bringing up here. Lumico's throwing out a lot of bonuses. So obviously, the marriage, and I'm sure Brian Adams would say this, the marriage and the reason, the goal of AAP, the goal of any Medicare agent should, and we believe it is, serving the client number one, helping the client, making sure they have the right plan for them that fits their needs, and that they are, if they're not somebody that should be in a med sup, then they shouldn't be in a med sup, but finding the right plan in general that fits their needs, serving them, making sure they're aware of everything so they're taken care of, especially in this market. But the other end, and why agents are in the market, is to make some money. So we're also all there to do that as well. No one's going to lie about that, and these certainly can further assist you in doing so with writing any of these plans. Now, Chris, as we round things out, I do want to circle back. And again, I've said we've done other shows on this, but this is a product that you can't really talk about enough because the brand's there, and it's really all over the map and also solid in any quote engine you're going to use as well. And the CVS Health Med Sup. So we're talking about there. So the CVS Health Med Sup, the Ascendo, it's been a hot product really from the moment it launched. It didn't really need any type of really storm. It didn't really need to wave. It's really been hot right away. You see the brands. You see CVS. I think the stat out there is 70% of the population lives within 3 miles of a CVS. Yeah. For how different so many parts of the country are, to hear that stat, it's really a jaw-dropping number when you think about it. That no matter whether you're in rural America, you're in suburban America, you're living in the middle of a city, of course, there's a CVS that is not that far from you. So that's crazy to think, but I mean that stat's out there. So for you right now, what markets are really going strong that you've noticed with the CVS product? That if an agent is in that market and he's writing, that he's being left behind right now and could increase his business even further if he's not writing it? And what markets do you expect to kind of pick up steam and be a part of that wave that maybe an agent can jump aboard early in that tidal wave with the CVS?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about the 70% of folks, or whatever the number is, living within 3 miles of a CVS. I mean, I'm sitting 200 yards away from one right now.
That's awesome. We're not that close. I got to get in my car and drive a mile or so. But yeah, that's funny.
It's
you can
right
walk
down
there.
the hill from us. But
I'd love to know the percentage of people that are even closer or within 1 mile or can walk. Because if you're 3 miles and that's a high percentage, I'm sure it's not 70, but it's probably still pretty good.
Well, and that's an advantage of this product, right? There's not many carriers out there that have a brand name that has brick and mortar like that all across the country. And so that really is a huge advantage. That, again, going back to the brand recognition, it's just something that clients, they see and they value. And so the CVS Health Med Sup with Aetna and technically under the Ascendo name, it's just been incredible. It's still a new product. It's only recently launched this year, but it's really been successful in every state that it's launched in. So, your question about what markets are still going strong, it's really all of them. And what markets have been picking up? Well, it's whichever one is approved. I know that there's a pretty big handful of states that are still waiting to be approved, going back to the comment about departments taking a little bit longer with approvals this year, given everything going on. It's any state that is just recently approved is probably the new state or new market to start picking up. So it's just been a great product, great partnership. So really, really impressed with how that product's taken hold. And it's really for a number of factors: competitive rates and a strong administrative team at Aetna, and a really good e-app platform that agents absolutely love. So we're hoping that we'll have a lot of continued success with that product.
Yeah, I know Georgia is definitely one that it's up there. North Carolina, Florida, just off the top of my head. But it is one of those that's spreading out all over the map. You're seeing a lot. You're going to see a lot of the CVS name, brand, and I think, maybe we're sounding like a broken record, just focusing so much on brand. But obviously, these products, they have the rates as well. They have a lot of benefits associated with these plans. You're looking at 14% household discount when you get into that CVS in terms of really getting into the nitty gritty. That's phenomenal. So that even helps with the rates even further in terms of what the client's paying. So if you can give them a supplement option with benefits where they're not paying maybe even nearly as much as they would have in the past or think they would have to pay for this, obviously that's a perfect marriage as well. So there's a lot to dive in that we could spend all day on. But the brand is a big deal, and it provides stability. Clients are gonna love it. So obviously you, the agent, if the client's happy, then you should be happy as well. And Chris can walk to a CVS, so that's a benefit as well for him. But yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. It's almost one, Chris, honestly, when I talk to agents and kind of tell them what's going on in their market and what they need to add to their portfolio to do well, once I saw that, it almost was some surprise. I mean, you almost say, hey, are you affiliated? Do you have the Aetna subcontract? Do you have CVS in your portfolio? And they're like, what do you mean? What? I have CVS as a med sup? It's like, yeah, the CVS brand's it's gonna be there. And it's also not a situation too where sometimes you have carriers that partner with somebody and there's a branding and it takes some time for that to filter into different quote engines, where you may still see an old name, or they may be confused because that brand that I'm talking about is not on the quote engine, so they're just taking my word for it. The brand, it's there. So that didn't have to be an issue with this product. And I do want to say, of course, as Chris knows, we have a relationship with these carriers. We have the partnership with Integrity Marketing Group. We have a footing in all of these states, and certainly can help you, the agent, if you're working with us here at Neishloss and Fleming for any of these. We have an in-house graphic designer who can make business cards, postcards, mailers, all of that, even a billboard on the highway near the CVS if you want to do that. We have, of course, we have Medicare Center, doesn't work as well for the SUP, but just in general to get that out there in terms of an online enrollment platform. That's big, and Integrity is part of that. You can use it as a quote engine, look up doctors, get the sale and get the enrollment there just in general. Even though that's more on the other side of things, we certainly have the service, and people like myself who are always willing to talk to you, the agent. We have different programs with different bonuses and different things like that all together that certainly can help serve. And you just look at our main website there, the NANDFINC.com. You can find podcasts like this, webinars talking about these carriers. You can find what we did recently at our Insight event. You can find kind of what Integrity's doing as well, and also all through our social platforms. And Chris here, as we kind of, as we close up shop here, number one, anything that we didn't get to that you want to mention out there that agents need to be aware of? Any final words of wisdom or advice in terms of if there are any challenges that may exist that you heard of that you can maybe provide advice to overcome? Certainly when you have a lot of these brands and rates, it's probably not as challenging, but there's always going to be some negative Nellies out there that are going to bring up something. So any advice, any final words, whether it's about the pandemic or these products here as we kind of close up shop?
With the pandemic, there was a lot of uncertainty back in March and April of how this would affect our business, right? And so I think we've actually been really pleasantly surprised with AEP and starting to see numbers come in and get feedback from agents of just how well agents have adapted overall. E-app usage is up quite a bit, obviously, as people are limiting face-to-face meetings and appointments. And so it's actually we've seen the boost and lift in business that we typically see during AEP, combined with folks really hopping on these e-app platforms. And the last thing that really I wanted to touch on was, and we briefly mentioned them, was these bonus programs and really just how lucrative they can be to your bottom line as an agent. And so really encourage, any agent out there that hasn't looked at these bonus programs. Every single one of the carriers that we mentioned today does have one. And so just want to encourage them to take a look at them, see what they can do for their bottom line, because it really will make a difference and help offsetting the cost of really everyday business as we continue to adapt during the pandemic.
Yeah, and obviously there's challenges that exist during the pandemic that weren't there before, so everyone understands that, but it is a thriving industry. I always tell agents that there are going to be people out there that need taken care of more now than ever before. They need to be aware of their getting. Maybe they've been humbled by the situation going on, so maybe somebody that you weren't able to have success with in the past, maybe circle back now because maybe they're not as taken care of as they should have been. Maybe they now care about that more, and just your clients in general are going to be needing taken care of more now than ever before. And those bonus programs, I mean, obviously, when there's bonus programs, that's a bonus, so it's good. I mean, no one can be upset about a bonus program, but these are really good bonus programs. I mean, it's almost hard to believe. I mean, what's happening with some of these bonus programs. So these are really, really good bonus programs, and we touched on a little bit what CSO's doing, what Lumico's doing in particular, but certainly all the carriers have something going on. So again, we can certainly get that to you by giving us a call here at Neishloss and Fleming if you're contracted with us for any of these carriers, or if not, we certainly can help you get contracted with any of these carriers. Because I also will say, Chris, I think my final word is for any agents who are not yet affiliated, and just in general for years to come with these products, it's pretty easy in terms of getting contracted too. It's not like you're having to jump through tons of hoops, because that there's tons of challenges right now. There's not tons of hoops to jump through. These sites where these contracts are on, they're not too crazy in terms of having to take 16 steps to move forward. So this is relatively an easy process to get involved if you want to sell Medicare. It can be done now. It doesn't take waiting months to moving things around or with these subs. So that's big, I think, as well.
Absolutely. And it's really a streamlined online contracting for all of these carriers. And so, it really couldn't be easier. And one thing I will add to just starting to think about it is with Neishloss and with Integrity having these exclusive partnerships with these carriers, we are very close to the carriers. And so it does allow for us to take agent feedback from the field. Maybe if there needs to be an e-app feature that needs to be tweaked, or if an agent does have feedback about some process, it allows for us to take that back to the carrier and work with them to improve the process so that it improves the overall experience for not only the agent, but for the client too.
Yeah, and that's major, and I mean, nobody can say anything but this, but we've already seen for years, I know our partnership with Integrity, this has been evident, but Integrity Marketing Group in particular, certainly us here at Neishloss, very willing to adjust and adapt. So definitely can change things when you hear some criticism. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, so if there's anything out there, certainly it does provide the ability to have Chris and myself able to actually take this advice, and we don't have to put it through 17 chains. It can kind of be changed for the next year, or whenever, as quick as possible. So that can be stuff that we can look into by having these products with Integrity Marketing Group and by working with FMOs like us here at Neishloss and Fleming that are partners with Integrity. So again, Chris, I definitely appreciate the time. Absolutely appreciate the time. I know, I'm sure you're a busy guy with what's going on right now. I know, this is a busy season, more now probably than ever before. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the production work behind you, so top notch on that. I think we got a great video here. Again, I know my producer, Ryan, is very happy with that as well. So this was an easy, smooth recording for all of us. Awesome for you. You can hop next door maybe and tell them that we just did a podcast and what they got going on as well. So again, Chris Kolowich, the product marketing manager with Integrity Marketing Group here. For all of us at Neishloss and Fleming, for all of us at Integrity Marketing Group, the Integrity family out there, for of course Brian Adams, the man sitting up there who's helping to make all of this possible. I'm Mike Asti, that's Ryan Bergman, and we'll meet again on another edition of the Neishloss Podcast.